It is now 2 o'clock, and would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance for our July 26th board meeting? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we are now at public comments. Do we have anyone for public comments today? If so, please give us your name, and you have 5 minutes, please, to speak.
Thank you. I wasn't originally planning to, but my name's Ann Bander. I live out on Ladies Island, and I'm also a member of the League of Women Voters Beaufort area. And I just wanted to express my thanks to Marie, her entire staff, Jean, for the community forums. I attended one last week in Port Royal. It was really informative. The materials were hugely helpful, and I've shared it with the League members and with Jean's permission. And I know we'll be able to use it when we're talking with people about registering them. So I appreciated their time, their effort in initiating this. And I wish the turnouts had been better, but hopefully word will get out and people will avail themselves of it. So thank you.
All right, thank you, thank you. All right, we are now to minutes from our last meeting, and I know the minutes were sent out, so I hope everyone had the opportunity to read over the minutes. And I would like to get a motion, please.
So made.
Okay. Okay. It's been moved and second that the minutes for our last meeting, which was June 28th, be accepted. Ready for questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, now we are down to, do we have any unfinished business? Because I don't have a copy of my agenda with me. I don't think so. Okay, we are moving right along to our committee reports. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now we are ready for our Facilities Committee.
Madam Chair, we haven't had a meeting per se, but I have spoken to staff to get some historical data regarding facility events that have occurred in the past. I see the warehouse was the big issue, and obviously we have that. So at some point, once I get a better feel from the staff as to what is needed for the warehouse, I know one of the things that I am particularly concerned about is what kind of physical and technical security and access control issues are going to be in place. So I'll be working with the staff, and then the committee will meet at that time.
Okay. Thank you for that update, and I'm sure they will get with you. Next is Finance Committee. Finance Committee, no report. Okay. Legislative Affairs Committee.
Oh, thank you. At the last board meeting, when we met here on June 28th, Ms. Smalls asked us to take a look at compliance with South Carolina Code Section 77910A, which is a section of the law that requires each precinct to have a voting location within their precinct. And our past practice, because of the growth in some precincts and increased density and the lack of appropriate voting locations, our practice has been to pool several precincts into one location. And with our current setup, we have 13 locations with 2 precincts pooled. We have 7 with 3 precincts, and we have 4 locations with 4 precincts pooled. So we really need to address the compliance issue with 77910A in 2 ways. One is operationally, doing our best to find polling locations within each precinct, but additionally, from a legislative perspective. So the Legislative Affairs Committee looked at our options to do that. We had a WebEx meeting on July 11th, and we talked about a proposed solution. So under South Carolina law, it's pretty clear that the legislature sets the polling locations. They like to keep control of that. Ms. Andino in 2019, I believe, requested an Attorney General's opinion on whether there could be pooled polling locations in some cases. And that Attorney General opinion came back saying the spirit of the law is to have a polling location within each precinct. So the message is clear that the legislature needs to approve polling locations. But we found there was a precedent in Richland County. Richland County was the only one that had this precedent where if the Board of Voter Registration and Elections found that there was no appropriate polling location within a precinct, they could pool polling locations together with the limitation that the pooled locations be approved by their legislative delegation, and that no pooled precinct is more than 5 miles away from the polling place, measured in a straight line. And Richland County it's about twice the size of Beaufort County, but there are similarities. They have a military base, they have a high-density urban area in Columbia, they have suburban areas, and they have rural areas. So not dissimilar from us. So the Legislative Affairs Committee decided that we could basically copy the language that they have for local legislation in their section 77465, which lists all of their precincts. So what we recommended was an amendment to 77110, which is the designation of voting precincts in Beaufort County. And at that July 11th meeting, we voted and approved the addition of an article 77110D that says, if the Board of Voter Registration and Elections of Beaufort County determines that a precinct contains no suitable location for a polling place, the board, upon approval by a majority of the county's legislative delegation, may co-locate the polling place with one or more other precincts inside the county and within 5 miles of the precinct's boundaries. So that was what we agreed in the meeting. We then discussed and approved a draft letter for your submittal to the legislative delegation. And on that WebEx, we also talked about municipal elections. And we have a compliance issue with, I think it's 7711000, which is the law for pooling municipal elections only. And at the Legislative Affairs meeting on the 11th, we decided to make that a separate issue because there is no local legislative section in the law that would allow us to address that. We need to take a little bit more time to look at the municipal side. 7711000, it gives conditions for pooled precincts in municipal elections, and they require that any pooled precinct has to have less than 500 voters registered in it. We don't have any precincts that small. It also requires that at the pooled locations, the total pooled registered voters cannot exceed 1,500, and that's an issue for us. And the pooled municipal polling places can't be any further than 3 miles from the polling place. So municipal elections, as you know, are a lot different from general, special, and primary elections. One, because the turnout is much lower. And another reason is because in municipalities, there may be split precincts. In Bluffton, for example, we have 14 precincts that fall within the Bluffton municipality. Almost every one of those is a split precinct. So it's very hard to come up with the numbers. And this also is a statewide issue. So the Legislative Affairs Committee decided to separate that from the first issue and take some more time to look at it. So Sorry, that's a long report.
Very good.
Any questions about that?
I
Yes.
got one. Matt, just out of curiosity, the addition of 77110 Part D, other than the county designation, is that paragraph the same wording that Richland County has?
It's slightly different in that instead, Richland County says that the board may locate, and we agreed on language that said we may co-locate, just to add the concept of being together.
Okay.
And we also added a sentence that said, or a phrase that said, they would be co-located in with one or more other precincts. The Richland County language just said within the county.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Accept the report.
Yeah.
I move to accept the report of the Legislative Affairs Committee.
I'll
That
second
that concludes.
Huh? Okay, who second?
I do.
Okay, it's been properly moved and a motion was made by Liz Johnson and second by Don Lucas to accept the report. Are there any questions?
I would think that not only will we accept, but recommend a referral to the legislative delegation. Would that not be appropriate?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
Agree with that.
I would just add that.
I'll amend my motion to say that we accept the report and recommend a referral to the legislative delegation.
okay.
Right, with the amendment.
Okay, that report will be amended. All in favor? Say aye. Any nays? Okay. Let's see, let me find, let's see what's next. Re-presenting. Re-presenting.
We don't have a report at this time.
Oh, okay. Re-presenting, do not have a report at this time. Rules Committee,
And give that draft letter.
Rules Committee,
Chairman's
No rep-
not here.
okay, no report, okay? Huh?
That is,
Yeah,
Yes,
and he's not here.
He's not here today.
okay. Do we have any new business? I don't even have an agenda. Okay. All right, next we'll have the director's report.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I hope you all are enjoying a nice, warm summer weather these last couple of weeks. Our report is simple. What we have for you today are the same topics that we typically do have: the legislative update, election update, facility updates, and miscellaneous updates. Under the legislative side of it, first of all, under legislation, I just want to thank the Board Legislative Committee for all the hard work they did in drafting a proposed legislation to correct the issue we have, not just in Beaufort County, but across the state in reference to polling locations, because we all understand and recognize the limitations we have when it comes down to finding polling locations. We are still constantly working on locating new facilities, and we have been successful to a degree, but we are still not going to be able to eliminate multiple precincts in a location in its totality. So that's why we are desperately hoping that this legislation can get passed so that we can be in compliance. And I will encourage you all to talk to your legislators and encourage them to pass this piece of legislation to correct our situation so that we can be in compliance. Okay? We had a SCARE conference, and The SCARE conference is a mid-year session that we had back on the 13th of this month. It was held in Berkeley County. And at that SCARE conference business meeting, we discussed the priorities for the upcoming year. And one of the things, of course, that's being discussed is the amendment to 7-7-910, which is polling location. So I'm just happy that Beaufort County is taking a lead on that, and hopefully it will take root and become effective for all of the state of South Carolina. Okay, so that's one of our main priorities under the SCARE Association. The next priority is talking about allowing poll managers training to be conducted up to 60 days prior to the election. Right now, you know that we cannot conduct training for poll managers no more than 30 days before an election. And in some counties in the state, that is becoming or is a hardship. So they are also requesting legislation to increase that length of time to allow for more training and more detailed trainings for poll managers. So that's the second priority for SCARE. The third priority is, of course, increased poll workers' pay. This is always on our priority list because we know the important work that poll workers are doing across this nation, and especially in our state, because we have such short period of time to turn around from the time there is election day to the time votes are certified. And our poll workers have been so dedicated, and I think we just want to recognize that they are worth a little bit more than what they've been paid over the years. And so we are promoting this as well. So this is a priority for SCARE, that we increase poll workers' pay. And we know that 2024 is going to be a very busy election year, and we just need to have the incentives in place to show poll managers that we appreciate what they are doing. And poll workers recruiting is still going on. We're still encouraging people to sign up to be poll managers. Talk to the members in your organization if they're not already poll managers. Talk to folks in your community. Let them know that we need them to become poll workers in our county. Another priority, kind of so to speak, is there are some legislation that went through in the beginning of this general session that did not make it through both chambers. And so we are just asking again for support from our legislators, from the Beaufort County delegation, to support some of these bills that's being proposed. H3734, S406, and H3475. So these are bills that were proposed in our last general session, and some of them SCARE want to support. So that's why we are showing it as a priority in this fiscal year. Another priority is to modify the candidate filing deadline for special and municipal election. What a lot of folks don't realize is that municipalities have authority over their election unless they are, even if they're a municipality, they follow a different set of codes. They're under the 5-1570, and we operate and run elections under 7-13190. So municipalities have some autonomy when it comes down to running elections, and we are trying to get our legislators to just come up with one set of rules for us to follow, being that the counties are typically the one conducting all of the elections. So we just want to all be on one page. Any questions about any of the legislative updates? Yes.
Is there other than the fact that the municipalities is under a different code, is there any difference in running the election?
No, there are some municipalities that actually do their own elections. I mean, the board, they have their own board, they certify their own election, and they actually run their own election. The county does not run their elections for them. So, but that's so few. And I think there's some legislation out there right now that's trying to do away with that because of the scrutiny that goes along with the election. We all just need to be on the same page so that the state of South Carolina will be able to justify how election is ran because it's all ran the same way, under the same processes and the same procedures.
And my second question is, where are the gaps in terms of identifying locations to actually, for voting? Is it north of Broad, south of Broad, a combination of both?
It's a combination of both. When you're talking about facilities,
Right.
Yeah, it's a combination of both because it's just, we just don't have the facilities out there. Public facility especially, we ran out of public facility a long time ago. So what we are looking at now is pretty much private facilities. And we are not getting the cooperation that we would like, in which, we can't do anything about that because these facilities are privately owned. And some of the facilities that we used in the past are no longer wanting to assist in that process of serving as a polling place for elections. And that's a variety of reasons. So it's just something that with the implementation of the proposed policy that you guys just approved, that will help us. Because we do not have 126 polling place. If that law doesn't get changed, we will be in violation.
Where are the areas specifically, because you said both north and south of the Broad, but can you be more specific geographically on the areas that need more polling locations?
What we were trying to do is just talk to all the churches, the local churches in the Beaufort area, Ladies Island, I think in Burton, in the Burton area. We've been calling almost every place we can think of that's a possibility. We have some scheduled appointments next week that we're going to go out and look at some of the Bluffton, Hilton Head Christian Academy.
Right, Hilton Head Christian Academy,
And
Third Macedonia Baptist Church in Burton.
so, yeah, we have some places that we still are looking at, but it's not going to be enough.
Marie, could I add to that? There are 4 locations where we currently have 4 pooled precincts, and I think those are the areas that are the highest priority to find additional polling places. So that would be on Hilton Head Island. The Plantation House currently has 4 precincts. Buckwalter Recreation Center has 4, and those are 4 growing precincts, so we urgently need to find additional polling locations. Pinckney Hall in Sun City, they have 4. Now, Sun City's not going to get any bigger, but we need to look and make sure that that's at least as efficient as possible, and also Magnolia Hall in Sun City.
Have we had conversations with any of the POA presidents to explain to them the depth of our problem and to see if they can?
When we approach them, we do, that has helped out with certain gated communities. Like now, give you an example, if you know somebody in Hampton Hall, if you know any of the board in Hampton Hall, Hampton Hall is a perfect situation for the people there. Their issue is they don't want anybody coming from outside. And there's about 150 to 200 that would have to come in from outside, but it's only one day. But there are tons of gated communities on Hilton Head that the people come in and vote already. So it's that exclusivity thing that they feel that gives us a problem in Hampton Hall. So, Hampton Hall, if you happen to have a connection there, that would be perfect. That would take care of a lot, pulling out of Buckwalter. So it's things like that that are causing problems. That's the only gated community that we know of so far that has had an issue with us trying to go inside.
So Hampton Hall would be one place that you would suggest trying to,
Right. We went to them 3 years ago. 3 years ago, and they were excited, but then their board said, well, how many people are coming from outside? And, you know, we did the numbers, and it's about, like I said, 150 at that time. And they said, well, no, we don't want to do it because we don't want anybody coming from outside.
Would it be helpful for you all, or maybe the board, to assist you to reach out to our legislative delegation to see if they could help influence
Yeah.
places
Yes,
like Hampton
most
Hall to get
definitely.
access?
Definitely. That's pretty much why we talk about it all the time. And we are asking you as board members to reach out to anybody that you can that may have some influence on facilities. And, you know, it's just like an ongoing thing. If we ride down the road and we see a brick building, it's like, I wonder if they'll let us come in, you know? You know, it's just kind of amazing. But we know how important it is. What we are trying to do, especially for the 2024 election, is trying to eliminate the long lines that we will have at those multiple locations. We don't want our voters to be frustrated standing in line for 2 hours to vote, you know. And so we know that the turnout in 2024, at least that's what we are predicting, is going to be above average. And we are trying to set up Beaufort County in a position where our voter experience is a little bit more pleasant. And so that's why we are just out there beating the bushes, trying to get facilities. So when it doesn't matter if you have 4 precincts in a facility and you cannot process those voters in a timely manner, you're going to have a bottleneck at the door. And you're going to get people standing outside, and you're going to get them frustrated, you're going to get them dehydrated. And these are things that we have learned in the past, so we're trying to avoid that. So as much help as we can get, we will definitely accept. And I know we've talked to county council members, we've talked to some of our legislative delegation members, and I think they are willing to help us to a degree, but we have not gotten any real serious results yet.
Window, I have
is
a
it-
question.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I have a question. For Hampton Hall, what are the areas, what precincts that will be coming
That's
in?
Buckwalter to 4D.
Bluffton, you mean?
Is
I'm
it-
sorry, well, yeah, Bluffton 4D.
Bluffton
That
4D?
and that's a huge chunk that would come out of
Okay,
Buckwalter.
Bluffton 4D?
Is it possible to redraw the precinct line so that Hampton Hall would only have Hampton Hall residents?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
We've been through that.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
we've been through
again, I don't know that
After
institutional
10-year
knowledge.
census, after the 10-year census.
Yeah, it's just, and really, I don't know, you know, how how their board is made up, but the residents that knew about it were excited. The manager of the club was excited because all they had to do is get on their golf club and drive down to the club and vote. And they have functions there that people come from the outside all the time. So we couldn't understand, you know, why it was such a big deal, but that's what they're, and actually, I approached her this time, I called, and she left a message, she sent me an email, well, if you still have 150 people coming from outside, I won't even bring it up to the board.
Let's see. Yeah, Bluffton 4D.
So it's an ongoing
Bluffton 4D.
project for us, and we hope that it will become one for you, is to just continuously just look for facilities that we can use. And I know Mr. Wedgeworth has been working with some of the folks on Hilton Head, and, but he made some progress. He made some progress. We have a yes, one yes.
And Mr.
And-
Ford and Ms. Allen, those two,
Yeah. So we've been getting some yeses, but we have more no's than yeses right now.
Okay,
and to kill 2 birds with one stone with that, like with Mr. Ford, well, both churches. What we tell them when we go there as well is, we're looking for poll workers. So church members can sign up to be poll workers, and that will be their precinct to work. And like Mr. Ford, the pastor's wife was a clerk at the library. Well, now she can do it right there at the church. So that's another benefit for the church, like the churches that you get us in touch with, that you can give the poll workers, you can get poll workers from the church, and they can stay right there so they're comfortable. They know the building and the processes there better than anybody. And it's kind of a win-win for everybody when they do it like that. So, and also, like Vernon pointed out to Pastor Hay, that's extra tithes coming in.
Okay. Wendell, I have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Bluffton 4D. What part of Buckwalter is that? Would that be, it's not Shell Hall, right? Is it, what's that Pine area? Would it be,
Wait a minute, Ms. Arlene, I think when we talk about where everybody's going to be assigned, we need a map to do that. So I would suggest that all of the logistical part of it, when we have the next re-precincting committee, it would be like a working session where we could sit down and look at maps and look at the locations of potential polling places in the area and go from there. Because that's what we've been doing.
That's what we've been doing.
We were using Google Map and just zooming in and looking at the
If we could take the
areas.
precinct map and put it over to Google Map, that would be perfect, but we can't, so we're switching from screen to screen and say, oh, look at this place here, and then we'll get the numbers and we'll get in touch with them. And we have to make sure, we're trying to, like she said, we're trying to make it one per one as much as possible. But if not, we're trying to get it as close to that line as possible.
well, the reason I ask because I'm going to be meeting this evening with one of the property owners that live in Hampton Hall, and she also have a family member that lives in Hampton Lakes. So.
Hampton Lake is, I'm calling Hampton Lake literally,
Okay,
Lake Amenity Center or something. And it's a whole different, it's 5C or something like that.
okay.
So that's a whole nother precinct situation.
Okay. Just in case she asks, well, where would those voters be coming from? I just
Right.
want to have a little general idea.
You
Don't
can-
have to
if
be
you
We
wanna-
can
specific.
send you, we
Yeah.
can send you a map,
Yeah,
a
you can send me a
individual location map, so
Okay.
that you can see where it's laid out at. I'm just thinking that this session
Okay.
is not,
Okay,
the right one to do the working
okay.
aspects of it. So, but anyway, so those are some of the things that we are recommending so far as polling locations. So, let's go to the election side of it. Wait a minute, did we answer all the questions concerning polling locations or legislative updates? Okay. So let's go to the poll workers training. We have 2 trainings left for this year, right now. Saturday, the 29th, we will have a poll worker session, new poll worker session from 9 to 1, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the John Galt office. And we right now have about 13 people scheduled. So we have room for more. It's not too late. All they got to do is go online and say, I want to be a poll worker, and sign up. You can sign up on your own. And so we encouraging, again, for folks to come out. And then next Saturday, on the 5th of August, we will have another session. So if you can't make this Saturday, then maybe the next Saturday. Not necessarily you, but your friends and your cousins and your next door neighbors and your golf partner and anybody you can think of. Send them our way so we can train them to be poll workers. We're going to need a lot of poll workers in 2024. Okay, this is facilities. We kind of like combined it with what we did earlier, but we had this list the last time, and the 2 new precincts that has confirmed are Mount Calvary Baptist Church on Hilton Head and Third Macedonia Baptist Church in Burton. They have agreed to become polling locations for us. Now, we still are waiting to do the assessments on them to make sure that they are compliant.
Third Macedonia,
Third, that's the only one?
that's the only one.
Okay, all right, good. I would love to see a bigger list next time. Okay,
Marie, do you want me to try to get Cherry Hill School? Because we used to vote there, and now everybody vote at the library.
What school is that?
Cherry Hill School, which is, belong to St. James. It's in the same general area, so I don't know if.
That's Mount Calvary will take care of it now.
Mount Calvary would-
Two B is now going to, there's two B and three B. And two B, one will stay in the library, and, I mean, three B will stay in the library, and then two B will handle that other end down towards where you're talking about.
Okay.
And that's Mount Calvary, and that covered it perfectly.
Okay.
But we'll put that on our list just in case, because sometimes we have facilities that are unavailable on election day and or like on a Saturday because of other events that may be going on, like weddings and things like that. So we can always use alternative locations, and is that the wooden building
Yes.
that used to be in the churchyard? I mean, that was in St. James Church,
It's
right across the street?
from the church. It belongs to the church.
Okay.
The Fellowship Hall.
Well, we hope we don't use it as a fellowship hall, but that's the building.
Where were we with Spanish Wells? I thought they'd agreed.
Yeah, Spanish Wells is, see, we already had them as a polling place. It's just that we weren't using it in the last two elections. So we're
Okay.
just gonna add them back to the list.
Okay, good. That'll relieve the pressure off the church. No,
Right.
Yeah.
We'll have
Grace
two.
Community.
We'll have
So you
two.
need two precincts there, yeah.
We'll have one of them will be Spanish Wells and the other will be Hilton
Grace.
Head 10, I think.
Yeah, Grace
Right,
Community.
Grace Church. The Hilton Head 10.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Mr. Wedgeworth was doing his homework. Okay, additional storage space, this is facility update. Of course, on the 10th of this month, County Council approved the contract for our expansion. The amount is $385,000. And I will be getting a timeline. Mr. Ford, we will make sure that you are included on all the correspondence that's going through
Thank you.
concerning this. So that's good news, y'all. Eventually, we will get some additional space and be able to expand.
Maneuver.
Yeah.
Okay. We have our board workshop scheduled for August 1st. We're looking forward to that. From 10 to 4, we will have lunch break. We have scheduled active shooter preparedness webinar coming up on the 8th, and that's from 10 to 3. And that's being sponsored by the State Election Commission and the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. And this is an online training. We were hoping to have it in person, but we're still working on that part of it. But I think between now and next year, there will be a lot of cybersecurity training, a lot of concerns about security and safety is still floating around, so we have to be made aware of it, be conscious of it, and be prepared for it. We've talked about schedule CPR training, and on that particular day when we have that training, the Bluffton office will be closed, and I think that announcement is already out there, right? Or it will be out there soon to let everyone know that the Bluffton office will be closed on August 16 due to training. Mid-year conference
me.
was held at the, in Berkeley County at the Berkeley Electric Cooperative.
Ms. Marie.
I had a question about the location of the August 1st training for board members.
Oh, the location
would that
will
be?
be at the John Galt office.
Okay.
Marie, I received a package a couple of days ago where they were asking me to go to poll watcher class on the 1st of August, so I can't do both.
We don't do poll watchers classes. That may have come from a party.
No, that came from, I thought it came from the office.
Well, it's the board workshop that's sponsored on the
That's
first.
Okay,
First.
so I don't have to worry about that poll watcher class.
We don't do that.
We watch poll watchers.
Okay, so I can put the board workshop in that spot.
Please do. On the 13th, we did the SCARE conference. It was a one-day conference. It was very informative. We did have Miss Beverly to attend. She was I think you were the only board member from Beaufort, and 4 staff members were there. And so we had a presentation from the State Election Commission, and that was interesting as well. What else did we have?
Excuse me, Marie,
Yes.
could you share with us the training materials from that SCARE training?
The training was, first we had kind of like sessions. We had, Howard did a presentation, and that was general information, just showing statistics, whatever. The classes, we had 2 classes that was done simultaneously, and it was only open to staff and directors. Wendell attended one of the classes, and I think Jean,
Yeah, Gene and I went to the foyer
Went to-
class,
to-
and then they had a media class.
but myself and Chris and Vernon, we didn't attend a class because we already certified for this year.
I guess my question is if you could share with us the training materials that were used
I don't have
for
the
for
training
any training
material.
that was relevant.
May I respond to that? Howard now did say that he was gonna send us a copy of his PowerPoint presentation, and it did contain a lot of significant dates regarding the presidential preference primary and some other things that were coming up in the state. And he should have sent it by now, but if not, I think that
Yeah,
would be
I'll check into that.
Right.
He did say he was going to send it out. Maybe he did. Anyway, I cannot share the class material with you, but I can share some of Howard's presentation.
Great, anything that you think would be relevant to the board,
Oh, yeah.
I
That
think
would
we'd
be-
appreciate seeing
We,
that.
we do have it. We have,
Yeah.
we have his slides.
Great.
Yeah, he sent
So we
it,
get
and
those
Oh, you have it,
he
Chris?
should have sent it to me.
I sent it to you. Well, we'll send it out to the board.
Okay, thank you.
Like I said, it was interesting. It was pretty much talking about the role of SEC and things that they can and cannot do, and what our responsibilities are as staff and directors. So yes, we can share that information with you.
Thank you.
We also attended an election security workshop on the 14th in Charleston County, and that was sponsored by Charleston County Emergency Management and a group called the Committee for Safe and Secure Elections. And I have some information at the office that I will be sharing that with you all in reference to when you come to your workshop. And I attended the U.S. Election Assistance Commission, EAC, Local Leadership Council annual meeting on the 20th through the 21st in Washington, D.C. last week. It was a very good session. Of course, the conversation is pretty much the same everywhere you go. I'm one of the representatives from South Carolina. There's 2 representatives per state, and I am one of them. And so we represented South Carolina as one of the council members, the leadership council members. And like I said, the conversation about safety and security, about on election is in everybody's conversation these days. But one of the things that they did, I think was good, was they talked about the processes and procedures on certifying election equipment. because that's one of their responsibilities. The U.S. Election Assistance Commission role. They have 2 certified laboratories that certify election machines, and they talked about that process in detail, generically, but in detail. There are a lot of things that they do to make sure that election equipment is safe and secure before it goes out in the country. So, and so that's pretty much, but it was, like I said, it was a very good session. We got to exchange ideas. We had breakout sessions talking about a variety of topics. And of course, you can only attend one session, so I only got to participate in the session that I was in, which was about how do we deal with dis and misinformation about election. So, of course, we know we all are dealing with that subject matter across, not just in our state, but across the country. And so that's why I'm saying the story is the same. It doesn't matter where you live or what state you live in. We all have the same, we all have similar issues that we are dealing with. So the whole idea is, how do we prepare for it so that we will be able to, have the answers when we are confronted with misinformation or disinformation. So hopefully it will not be as bad as we anticipated, but we have to be prepared anyway. I just wanted you guys to know also that we had promised you your poll workers database, and so we're looking at the 18th as the drop dead date for you to have your poll workers database in hand. When you get your database, we're asking that you contact your poll managers, however way you want to do it, by email, by snail mail, by telephone calls, to introduce yourselves to them and let them know who you are, especially the newer board members, because you want your poll workers to feel comfortable and know who they are talking to when you're calling them to serve as a poll worker on election day. So that's my report, unless you have further questions.
Any questions? Anybody got a question? All right. Well, now we're down to closing comments, and anyone have closing comments, and I'll go last?
I have
Okay.
one comment. I attended the training, the public informational training in Port Royal, and I found it to be very informative. And the only suggestion that I would make is that we have one additional one for the Sheldon Township, that area out there. I think we covered St. Helena, we covered Port Royal, we covered Bluffton as well as Hilton Head. But I think that that's a section of the county sparsely populated. But I think that they will benefit, from having that same information. Just a suggestion, but it was very well done. I did ask for a copy of the PowerPoint, just for my information, but I just think it was very valuable training, and I really want to thank the staff for giving up their time and energy to conduct these community trainings. I saw Marie was out of town in DC, but I saw Wendell and Chris, and of course Jean was there conducting the training. But it was excellent training.
Jamie was there as well.
Huh?
Jamie was there as well.
Yes, Jamie was there.
Okay.
And,
Great. All right, anyone else? Okay, so I guess it's now me. Well, I would like to say thank you to the board and especially to our secretary for doing an outstanding job on that legislative report. I've read detail. I had a lot of reading to put me to sleep. I went to sleep. I woke up because I wanted to just get it done, you know, so I had it right there with me. And very good job, and you got right on it, because I know that we need to get things moving as fast as possible, because time waits for no one, and we don't want to be left out. To the other board members, thank you too for asking great questions, because that way at least you know where you're going and where you want to be when you get to that point. Marie, thank you. Wendell, I think we are on the right track, and we are moving in the right direction, because we want to represent our county more than 100%. We want to be out front so we can be leading the other areas. Maybe they'll then want to find out, what we're putting in our soup to make it so good. So,
Well, we brag about Beaufort County everywhere we
yes,
go.
right.
But I do want to ask this, did you all receive a copy of the draft operational manual?
Today.
Yes.
You all did? Okay, so when Mr. Pelly comes back, I'm sure he will have a report on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. Now, so we're down to next board meeting. Normally in August, if we don't have anything of high priority, we take off that month to regroup and get ready to hit the pavement, because we know we have elections coming up in November, municipal elections coming up, so get a little break, so that way when you get that list from Marie, you would have already exhausted yourself by calling the poll workers to, make sure that they're on board. Hilton Head is not having a municipal election, but those of you from Hilton Head, come right on over to Bluffton. Because,
We have a countywide election.
it's countywide, oh my God, that's right,
We have the
I forgot all about
referendum.
that.
So, yeah,
I
it
was
will
just
be a
thinking about that
countywide
municipal.
election.
Okay, well, now I can't use anybody from Hilton Head. Oh, wow. I was already ready for that. I was getting ready to start recruiting. Okay, my bad. Okay, so there's no board meeting for next month unless there's something of great need. If anybody have any comment or suggestion, do I need a motion to say we will not meet next month?
So moved?
Second.
All right, okay. It's been properly moved and second. There will not be a board meeting next month. So get plenty of rest.
Sorry, who seconded that?
Oh,
I think 3 people said.
Everybody.
Pick one.
okay. All right, so now next, can we get a motion then to adjourn?
So move.
Okay,
Second.
all right. Meeting has been adjourned at 2:53. Thank you all. Stay.